Hello friends, I am Shivaji Bhaskar, Assistant Professor of Russian at the School of Foreign Languages, IGNOU. I welcome you all to this course, Basics of Russian Communication Skills Part 1. As you know that in the previous modules, we have discussed about the Russian alphabet, its origin and structure, and then we have discussed all 33 letters of the Russian alphabet. We further distinguished them as vowels and consonants and sign. As you are already aware that with the help of certain examples, we have covered all the 33 letters of the Russian alphabet, and to make you aware of the sound pattern of these particular letters, we have given you certain examples of combination of vowels and consonants and vowels together. So, I hope that now you must be having a fair idea about that how the Russian phonetics work. Especially for the beginners, it is advisable that whenever we are talking about a certain new concept, I would like to recommend you all to note them down in your notebooks and practice all these concepts with your family and friends, because it would help you to learn the language, its basics with efficiency. Alright, now we will be discussing about certain new more combinations of such sounds, where we will be finding certain combinations of vowels and consonants and vowels together. As you remember that our purpose is that we are introducing you to these vowels and consonants as different units, and then when combined together, and certainly after combining together 2 or 3 letters, we are having certain words. Why it is important? Because in the communication, whenever we are having a combination of vowels and consonants, and then we have words, and then we can only make a sentence. So, this is the normal procedure. How do we communicate in Russian? So, now we have this new concept with us. We will be discussing about this concept, and now let us go ahead and learn about voiced and voiceless consonants. As it is already known to you that in Russian we have 21 consonants, but they are further categorized into voiced and voiceless. How do we define voiced and voiceless consonants? As you know that out of 33 letters we have 21 consonants and 10 vowels, and consonants are further classified as voiced and voiceless consonants. But to identify them, there is a technique. So, I would like to discuss this particular technique and concept with you all, so that you make no mistake in identifying all these voiced or voiceless consonants with efficiency. So, let us go ahead and find these consonants. If we look at the screen, we have certain consonants with us. For example, letters F, V, S, Z and L. But at the same time, we are also going to talk about a very specific letter of the Russian alphabet, U. U. If you remember, in the previous module, we have discussed about letter U, which can be found in a word of Russian language like riba. Riba. So, there you can say that letter U has a specific sound when pronounced individually, but when you have this particular sound in a word, the sound might or might not differ. But in certain cases, in certain words, they might sound like U as U in riba. So, it is a simple exercise that even if you are not looking at the screen, just listening to certain words, you will find and you would know that which letter actually helping in formation of that particular word. And if you remember, we also discussed in our previous modules about certain concepts like the role of stress or udarение and intonation. These are the certain concepts which we need to always keep in our mind when we are learning Russian language. Alright, so we will go ahead and discuss a few more sounds, but before that, let us go back to the previous part and look at the sound U, which is a vowel sound. And if you remember, in the initial stages when we marked vowels and consonants and signs with certain colors. It was only so that you can remember which one is what. And now all the letters are being used with black color, but since you have been practicing them with efficiency, I hope that you remember all these letters very well. So after that we have consonant sounds: F, V, S, Z and letter L. Alright, so I would like to recommend you all to keep practicing and note them down in your notebooks, so that you have no issues at all while noting them down or pronouncing them, in order to have a good grip over the Russian basics. Alright, now let us go ahead, and now we will be discussing about certain combinations. As you already know that we are going to talk about combinations where we will have consonants and vowels, as well as vowels and consonants joined together, and we will pay attention to the specific sound. Alright, so I am going to start with fa, fo, fu. Now af, of, oof. Here you can see the sound or the pronunciation which I am doing. You have to exactly imitate and try to pronounce as you can see on the screen. Combining both the letters together, fa, fo, fu, the sound would like af, of, oof would definitely differ. That is the basic concept which we are learning and preparing you well in advance for such letters and maybe sentences where you will find certain different sounds like we have just did. Alright, now let us go ahead, and since we have been talking about that after doing certain exercises where we will have combination of vowels and consonants, consonants and vowels, we will have certain words also with us. So here you can see certain words like front, fourth, fabrica. So these are the words of the Russian language, and now we are pronouncing them, and as a concept that you already know that the udarение or the stress would also always be on the vowel. So in case of front, it has only one vowel, that is O, of course. So the udarenie or the stress is on O, that is why the sound of O is under stress, and I am pronouncing with higher pitch on O. For example, front, front, which means front. Fourth, fourth means fourth. And then you have a very specific example, fabrica, where you have multiple vowels, isn't it? So you have fabrica, there the stress is on first A, that is why it is under stress. The sound of first A is higher than the rest, so it is being pronounced as fabrica, which means factory. Alright, now let us go ahead and discuss a few more such words which is having the letters as well as these vowels and consonants combination. We are going to pronounce first, the first word is forma, forma, which means form. Then we have firma, firma, which means firm. Then we have figura, figura, which means figure, and in this specific case you can see the udarenie is on U, U, figura, that is why the sound of U is higher. Alright, so I would like all of you to keep in your mind the basic concept of stress in the initial stage. Absolutely, we will be only doing such examples where we have this sign on the words where the vowel is there, but in the later stages you might not find them. So it is a matter of practicing, remembering the concept well, so that you prepare yourself well in advance in order to communicate in Russian in a very efficient manner. Alright, okay, now we will go ahead, let us see a few more such examples. Now we are having combination of vowel and consonants, consonants and vowels again together. Let us see what do we have here. We have va, wo and woo. Likewise, we have fa, fo and fu. Okay. All right. Now, let us go ahead. Here again, as methodologically we are going to have certain words. So, the words are what, vor, vodka, vada, we know. I would like to recommend you all to pay attention to the certain tone and texture. You may find that there are certain words where the pitch of the sound is rising in the center or at the end or in the beginning. For example, in the first word it is rising in the center, what, vor. But in the next word, vodka, it is rising in the beginning, vodka. But in the word vada, it is rising at the end because the udareni is on a, not on o. So, vada, and that is why the sound of o is coming like a, and I am pronouncing like vada. All right. And in case of we know, it is again on o and it is being pronounced as we know. So, the end of the word which is having this vowel o is rising. All right. Okay, let us go ahead. Let us see what do we have. We have certain new other words with us, that is dva, dvor, trava, davno, pravda and bukva. Okay, let us go back again. Look at the previous part. Here we have the words which we have just did. Now, understand their meaning in English. What means here, vor means thief, vodka, it is a drink's name, vodka, which is very popular in Russia. Then vada means water and vino means wine. Here we have certain other words with us like dva, dvor, trava, davno, pravda and bukva. Let us understand their meaning in English. Dva means to, dvor means courtyard, trava means grass, davno means long ago, pravda means truth and bukva means letter of an alphabet. Okay. All right. Now, let us go ahead. Let us make some sentences now. If you remember, in the previous module, we have discussed about simple sentences, affirmative and interrogative. And if you remember, we also discussed about the sound pattern. When it is a simple sentence, the sound would be flat. If it is an interrogative, the sound at the end of the sentence would rise because we are asking a question. And if we are using affirmative with the, there would be a pause and then flat. Okay. So, let us do these sentences in the form of an exercise. We have the first sentence with us, papa mama doma. Okay. If I am simply saying, if I am asking a question, then papa mama doma. So, the sound at the end is rising because I am asking a question. Then affirmative, with the help of the, I am going to answer it, the, ani, davno, doma. So, after the, I am having a pause, and in place of papa mama, we are together using ani, which means they, for papa mama. Okay. Now, the last one, papa mama davno doma. It is a very simple statement, simple sentence, that is why the sound is flat. All right. Now, let us go ahead and look at certain other combinations where we are having other letters as consonants and vowels, vowels and consonants in a combination. We have sa, so, su, as, os, us. All right, let us go ahead and see a few more examples where we will find new words in Russian, so that you can also build up your own vocabulary in order to communicate with your family and friends, in order to understand the basics of Russian efficiently and then further communicate with them. So, we have nos, vapros, vostok, kiosk. Okay. So, you can see that when I am pronouncing these words, I am also stressing a certain, whether in center, the beginning or at the end, depending upon the position of the vowels. And as we are pronouncing, I would also like you to pay attention to the pronunciation part as well as writing them down, so that you understand it properly. All right. Now, let us repeat once again. Nose, вопрос, восток, and kiosk. And now, let us learn about their meaning in English. Nose means nose, вопрос means question, most means bridge, восток means east, and kiosk, which means kiosk, a small shop. All right. Now, let us go ahead and look at a few more such examples. Store, stall, soak, soup. Store means 100, stole means table, soak means juice, soup means soup. So, here you have seen that the role of Udarenya is falling onto O when we are pronouncing store. When we are pronouncing stole, it is again on O. Same is the case in soak, and on U when we are pronouncing the word soup. All right. So, you can also note them down and read. Now, we are having a set of a few more words from Russian language. We will see how to pronounce them and their meaning. So, we have Moskva. Moskva, it is the capital of Russia, also known as Moscow in English. Doska, strana, toska, sprava, prosta, and spasiba. So, Moscow is Moskva, doska means board, strana means country, toska means grief, sprava means to the right of, prosta means simple, and spasiba means thank you. So, these are the basic concepts which you also need to always keep in your mind. If you remember, in the previous module we have covered one special word which we will be using more often than rest of is privyet, privyet, which means hello, and likewise you will also use most oftenly the word spasiba, which means thank you. We will also be learning about greetings in Russian in our upcoming modules in details, but however the words are coming, so we will keep them learning and note them down in our notebooks, and we will discuss and communicate these letters, these words, these sentences with our family and friends in order to have a good grip over the basics of Russian language. All right. Now, let us go ahead. Here we have combination of certain other letters as consonants and vowels and consonant. We have za, zo, and zu. So, here we have certain other words from Russian language. We will pay attention to how to pronounce them and will be knowing their meaning as well. Okay. So, we have words like zond, zvuk, zima, and zapark. The meaning of zond is umbrella, zvuk means sound, zima means winter, and zapark means zoo. All right. Okay, now let us go ahead and see a few more such words. It's vaza, rosa, fizika, vniz. Vaza means vas, rosa means rose, fizika means physics, and vniz means below. Okay. All right. Now, we are going to cover a few more such words, so that in order to learn Russian language smoothly, you are also having your vocabulary ready, so that when communicating you are having your own set of words with you. So, the new words are zerkla, sumka, ozera, and Asia. Zerkala means mirror, sumka means bag, ozera means lake, and Asia means Asia. All right. Since we have already covered a few words, now we will be using these words in our sentences. Okay. and as you already know that while making sentences we have a certain set pattern. So, I would recommend you all to pay attention to these important aspects. So, the first sentence is "Это дом, тут двор, справа дорога, там мост." Second sentence is "Вот комната, тут доска и карта, справа окно, тут ваза, там роза." So, if you pay attention to these particular sound patterns, since we are making a set of words using them in a form of a sentence, and then we are also using certain directions like tooth, tam, okay, sprava. So, these are the concepts which you will be learning in details in the upcoming modules, but here we would like you to pay attention to the basic concepts that how to form a sentence. For example, the first one "Это дом," this is a house, "Тут двор," "Справа дорога," "Там мост." Here we already know dwar means courtyard, daroga means way, tam means most means bridge. Then we have what komnata, komnata means room, tut daska I karta, daska means blackboard, karta means map, sprava akno, akno means window, tut vaza, vaza means vase, we have just did in the previous part, and tam rosa, rosa means rose. So, these are the words which you can combine together to make your own sentences. Here also you can see these sentences where we have used these words and making our own sentences. All right, now let us go ahead. Let us look at this important part. The sentence is "Kakwa zavud." The person is asking a question, so the sound would go higher at the end. "Kakwa zavud" means what is your name. So, this is again a very oftenly used expression in Russian. You will be using it a lot. While asking somebody's name, we say "Kakwa zavud," what is your name. The person is answering Ivan, a very popular Russian name for males. "A kakwa zavud," and what is your name. Kumar, so the Indian name Kumar. Let us assume that it is a meeting between a Russian and an Indian, but it is a very brief introduction. So, they are simply asking each other's name. "Kakwa zavud," what is your name. We can also say "Minya zavud Ivan," but just to simplify the learning, we are just starting with the name Ivan. Ivan is asking a question now to Kumar, "A kakwa zavud," and what is your name. Then Kumar, who is an Indian, is answering Minya zavud Kumar, but here just to simplify the method we are saying only Kumar. Okay. So, you can also make your own sentences. For example, if you are meeting Anton and if your name is Anil, you can say "Kakwa zavud," the person would reply "Minya zavud Anton," and then Anton would ask "What is your name." "Kakwa zavud," then you would say "Minya zavud Anil." So, likewise you can have numerous examples where you can use names and which is being used in your family, among your friends, and make your own sentences. There can be numerous examples of that. All right. Okay, now let us go ahead. Now, we are going to venture into the basic concept which we started in our module, voicing and devoicing. All right. So, the devoicing of consonants, we will discuss about it in Russian language. That in Russian, voice consonants, there are certain consonants like de, be, ge, ve, ze. Okay? Whereas the devoiced consonants, they are pronounced as te, pe, ke, f and s. So, when ending de would sound like te, ending be would sound like pe, ending ge would sound like ke, ending ve would sound like f, and ending z would sound like s. So, this is a very basic concept we are going to discuss in details now. So, this is for further, it is a combination, it is a kind of a that this concept works always together. So, let us see how it works in the next part with the help of certain examples. So, just to start with certain words and expressions, we are going to again have an exercise just to have a fair idea about it. All right. Okay. So, the is pronounced as the, de, te, be, pe, ge, ke, ve, f, z, s. Let us see how. In the next part, we have certain words with us like god, sat, rat, gorat, zapat. Here the word is ending with de, god, but if you are pronouncing and pay attention minutely, then you would hear the sound of te, not de. So, it is changing into te. Alright. Okay. So, likewise we have certain other examples with us, sad, rat, gorat, zapat. And now, let us learn about their meaning. God means ear, sad means garden, rat means happy, gorat means city, and zapat means west direction. All right. Here we have a few more such examples of voicing and devoicing. So, here we have the is changing into the in the first example, zavod. Zavod means factory. Then again the is changing into the, narod means people. Vrag, here you will see that ge is changing into ke. Vrag, the sound is of ke at the end. So, vrag. Likewise, in the word druk, again the sound of ge is changing into k. So, when I am listening this word, I am feeling that it is being ended with the letter k. However, while writing, you have to keep on writing like that, but while conversing, this concept would always be in your mind, and with certain practice, you would see that you are having mastery over all these concepts, and it will eventually come into your speech. So, now we are going to discuss about the sound of be is changing into pe, zoop, zoop. Then the sound of ve changing into f, gatof, gatof. So, the sound of f is coming. Likewise, the sound of z is changing into s. How? Let us see. Raskas, raskas. So, these are the very minute sound structures which you need to pay attention, and with a lot of practice, I am sure that you would master all these concept of voicing and devoicing of consonants. Okay? So, let us go ahead and look at certain examples. Here we have simple sentences with us. For example, like on gatov, on gatov. So, here the sound of f is higher at the end, on gatov. So, it is changing, and the answer is the on gatov, the on gatov. So, after the we are having a pause, and then we are saying on gatov, but the sound of ve is changing into f. All right. Anagatova, the anagatova. Here you see that there is no change, no change because of the gender as well. Anagatova, is she ready? The anagatova, yes, she is ready. So, let us see the meaning of these sentences. On gatov means is he ready? Then I am answering the on gatov, yes, he is ready. Then I am asking anagatova, is she ready? Then I am answering the anagatova, yes, she is ready. So, we will be discussing about more such concepts in our next module. I hope you all enjoyed this module very much, but I would like to recommend you all to keep practicing and remember and keep these concepts in your mind. Thank you.